What up, Thomas? Ooh, this is smoking hot coffee.
Oh, you made smoking hot coffee. Look at that. And a nice atomic mug. It's an awesome mug, man. What's going on?
Dude, we've had a killer fucking week.
Yes, sir.
Proposing like really amazing clients. This was a father, son, and son, multi-generational construction company. Awesome dudes. Like, we'll see what happens with that. We have dialed in and figured out like who exactly we talked to and simplified a lot of things, man. I mean, this has been just an incredible week. Tomorrow, we're going to see Chris Williamson from Modern Wisdom live
Yeah,
in Manhattan.
I'm excited about that.
This
That I
is
can't wait to.
it's a
I
great
can't wait, and
week.
I made reservations at a nice place for us, so
Oh,
I'm
nice.
excited.
See, I bought the
Yeah,
tickets. Tommy does the dinner reservations. We're all
that's
good. This is
it.
nice. It's a
It's
good
all
week.
good.
Yeah. All right, folks. If you watch this, we want you to be the CEO. Be the.ceo. Go to the website. Purpose of our podcast is really to find things out there in the world from some kind of content creators, which is another group of people that we really work with. We work with people that truly either film, write, or produce content for other people. So the cool thing is we actually go out and look at some of that work. We
Yep.
find out what people have done. We look at the information and we either are like, holy shit, that is incredible, or give me a break. Like, what are you talking about? And then we kind
Exactly.
of give our insights to that for you as business owners to hopefully take it a little step further. Because when we read content, we may get inspired, we may be provoked in our thought, but then what do we do, right? So hopefully we can take some of these concepts and talk about what we've done, talk about what our clients have done, talk about our thoughts on that. Maybe bring up some kind of maybe a principle that we have, our book, Atomic Game Changer. It's our 9 principles. Maybe show you some proof on these things that we've done and how they've worked by using what someone has said or doing the opposite of what somebody has said. And then, maybe give you a process, give you something that you can actually do through that thing. So that's where we're at. Who are we starting with? Yours or mine today, Tom? Let's start with mine.
All right, let's go with yours. Yeah, I think I did last time.
Let's go. What we're going to share today is from a young lad named Mr. Hormozi, Alex Hormozi. What's funny about Alex Hormozi is 3 times last week I was in conversations and these people had no clue who Alex Hormozi was, like none.
Yeah.
Now, one was a someone who's running for Congress, and they're a former assemblyman for a state assemblyman. So they're in politics. Another was a banker who has been kind of a lifetime banker. So he deals with business owners, but he is very high up in the bank. And then a third is an architect for a government agency. So none of these people are really business owners. They all kind of deal with business owners, but they're not themselves. I was amazed how many people don't know who Alex Hormozi is. Crazy. So here's his post, man. He talks about the man who walks because he loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. I'm going to say it again in case you're listening
Yeah.
in the car. The man who walks because he loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. This is something that I am extremely in line with. Okay. When you're building a business, as I have built many, Tom has built many, and every one of our clients has built them. Okay. If you're constantly just after that destination, it's a hard thing to do. It's very complex. It's driven by the wrong things. And there's a philosophy that we have is the work is the goal. We really believe if you can set out, like Tom and I have done, that the work me and Tom get to do every single day with our clients, even when we're preparing for our clients or setting up for this podcast, that work is what we set out to do. There's nothing more than that. It's not about just saying, all right, I got paid to do these things. It's not about like, okay, I want to be retired on an island one day or whatever the things are. It's the work that you do every single day. That has to be your goal. And when we start to look at these things and frame these things in a very simple way, because our philosophy as business is simple, it's just not easy, right? So if you start to simplify this, and if you woke up every single morning and you said, this work that I'm about to do, that is my goal. There's so many byproducts that come from that. Like if I'll go on a personal side, like if the work is going to the gym because you want to have big muscles or you want to lose some weight, right? If you can make going to the gym the goal, not the big muscles or the losing the weight, when you make that the actual goal, it's going to happen. Okay. You're going to lose weight. Now, you may lose weight a little bit faster if you don't eat the donuts on Fridays. I love those donuts on Fridays.
Yep,
You
gotta have those.
may get a little bigger if you make sure you lift heavier weights or have the right amount of protein. But I guarantee you'll lose some weight and you'll get a little bigger if the goal is going to the gym. If that's it, the work part is the goal. And then the byproduct is this beautiful thing that happens from the work. And I think so many people are skipping over doing that work and then they resent it. And they don't want to, when they wake up in the morning, they don't want to do it. And most of those people, fortunately, are 9 to 5 employees. They have to
Mhm.
do these things. But when we own our own businesses, we get to do these things. What's some of your thoughts on this, Tom?
It kinda took very similar. I think that for me, the way that post hit me is what we always say about enjoy the journey, not the destination, right? Focus on what the journey is, because when we're focused on what the journey is, we stay present in the moment. And I think as a business owner, you can so easily get distracted by getting to that target, getting to that deadline, right? I mean, we were working with, one of our content creators who works for that. He does a lot of student housing, UGC, and other content to promote the apartments, to sell them, etc. And he was so focused on some of his deadlines that he was missing some of the actual process that was involved in getting to those deadlines. And I think we all get caught up on just getting the work done because we need to move on to the next project, right? We were talking to our architect tonight. He was talking about he's got these three major projects he's got to get out the door, and he's just so focused on getting those projects done. The process of getting those things done is sometimes lost. But it's not that, it's what not focusing on the journey does to a lot of people. It brings up a lot of anxiety because the destination is anxiety provoking at times. When you break down a project or you break down something that you're working on, you slice it into smaller pieces, it becomes much more manageable and there's less overwhelm because you're focused on the process or the journey, so to speak. And you're not getting that anxiety of getting the thing done and having to race to the final destination and race to that finish line. And because all of that stuff is in the future, and it provokes so much anxiety for people. And when we just say, okay, I'm just going to do this leg of the race right now and get that done, then I'll move on to the next one. I'm not focused so much just on the destination. And it actually creates a better work environment for your employees. It creates a better environment for yourself. And you're doing, like to your point, Adam, you're doing the work, right? Because when you get to the destination, the work may run out. You may not
Right.
have the work, right? So the work is the goal, right? You have to do the work, and that's part of the whole entire journey, right? I look at it as always a journey, not ever getting to a destination. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, you said something very interesting. It's like sometime if the destination is the whole point, right? Um,
Hmm.
when you get there, there's no more work to do. Like that is a big thing that you just said, and many people don't realize that. And we've had this many times. It's like, well, now what? I've achieved the goal. Now what? And people get lost. Like we've had many, many, many people come to us because they don't know what to do next with their business or their life. Like they got to the mountaintop and they're like, "Fuck, everything's over. Like my whole
Yeah.
purpose is done. I achieved it." And if they got to that mountaintop, they didn't realize they became a mountain climber. They didn't hit the summit. Like that wasn't it. They're a mountain climber, and there's a lot more mountains to climb. But if they got to the top of Everest and they're like, "I did it," okay, there's nothing else to achieve, and now they have to look for something new to do. Well, all right, I'll ride a bicycle 200 miles or something. They're looking. They're like, "I'm lost. I don't have a purpose." I'm like, "What's going on?"
Exactly. That's exactly it. The destination represents the end of purpose. It represents the end of the work. It represents all this other stuff. When if you're just focused on doing the work, just keep doing the work. Do more work, bring more work in, keep doing the work. Because then you never have to worry about the destination. But it's all the perspective. Like it goes back to that adage we talk about, I'll be happy when. Well, when comes, and then you're like, oh fuck, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What is this about? And you lose your whole sense of self and you lose your whole direction and you are no longer crystal clear. You lack the certainty that we talk about giving people all the time. You know, the destination is not going to give you certainty. Doing the work gives you certainty. That's what it's about. So that's a good post. Really good
Yeah.
post, man.
Yeah, that's one of the things, our philosophy as business is simple. It's just not easy. One of the reasons I admire Hormozi so much and why I was surprised other people didn't know him, especially a couple of guys that are a little bit younger than me, not by much, but maybe 5 to 10 years younger than me. I was surprised they didn't know him. But what I've always admired about Hormozi is he can take very complex constructs, philosophies and things and put them in a manner that's very, very simple to understand. He has very few original ideas, and I don't fault him for that. He's just figured out how to take other people's really good ideas and make them executable. And that's what I mean by business is simple. It's just not easy. It's like if you understand no matter what work you're going to do, it's going to be hard work, right? If you can
Right.
simplify these things, like saying that, all right, the work is the goal. You can just simplify that, then you can do it, right? It's going to be hard to do all that work, but you can do it each and every day. You can get up and do it over and over again, and you can realize if that's the goal, I want to do it again tomorrow. It doesn't become mundane. And this is why I like Hormozy because he really has taken that whole generation that's just beneath Tom and I, and really I think inspiring them to take action.
The sad part is that those 3 people didn't know who he was, is that they're missing out on so much value and so much complexity of thought, I guess, or depth of thought, more depth of thought. And it's interesting, like, we create these worlds around us. We create our own realities, and yours and my reality, yes, involves a Hormozi, a Williamson, uh, Martell, like, it involves all those people, and there is so many people who are not in that world, right? And it really is an eye opener of how we have to continuously look for new worlds to play in and to learn from and to so and as business owners, you can become so trapped in your world that you don't grow any further because you become comfortable in that world. And the more you expand your horizons, the more you expand your and you go outside, so to speak, and you expand your world, you're gonna appreciate so much more when it comes down to it.
Nice, pal. Let's go on to your post.
All right, so I found this post by this random guy. I don't know. He's an acquisition entrepreneur, whatever that
I
is.
like that
But
you
I
find
think,
random guys. That's
yeah,
it's
I
been
like the
fun.
random.
Yeah,
I like the random. It's more fun. I'm gonna butcher his name probably. It's Yousef El Alame or Alami.
that's better than I would have
Um,
did.
yeah. So that's 4 years of Latin for you.
Yousef El
Yousef El
Alame. I mean, I
Alame.
think you're right.
I think it's Alame. I hope so.
What up,
Any
Yousef?
Youssef, I hope I said it right.
All right, let's go.
So we'll tag you in our post when we post this one. But this was just this image, the thinker versus the doer. It's so interesting for those of you that are driving and maybe not watching this. You have the typical thinker sitting on a bench, and then on the doer side, there's nobody there because there's footprints leading away from the doer. And it was really cool what he said in the post. And I just want to read the post to you. He said, I spent many years in my head trying to feel confident first. But confidence isn't a feeling, it's a decision you back with action. I love that line. Confidence is a decision you back with action. You have to act your way into it. The longer I stayed stuck in my thoughts, the harder it became to trust them. I would replay every word, overthink every step, second guess every instinct. And the wild part, my clients were happy. They gave clear feedback. They trusted me, but I wasn't moving because I thought I had to feel sure before I acted. I don't believe that anymore. And here's the key phrases. I learned that doing is the fastest way to shift your energy. Even one small action can break a cycle of doubt. because motion gives you evidence. Thinking only gives you more thinking. And I was like, this is exactly what Adam and I talk about all the time. You have to bring yourself to action. We meet with so many people, like, we meet. You talked about that proposal of that construction company, development company, whatever they are. They're building houses, father and son's team, and one of the brothers is so like, you're going to tell us what to spend our money on, right? Like, you're going to tell us what to do, right, with this money. And we said, no, the process is going to give you the certainty to know what to spend the money on. And that's because you're going to be so certain about taking the action, and you're just going to start taking actions and learn what you need to do next. And that's the thing that he's saying here is if you just keep thinking about it, you're just going to keep thinking over and over the same thoughts. You're going to stay stuck in your head. And when you're stuck in your head, you can't execute anything. You can't develop that new product. You can't go out and make that next sale. You can't do any of that stuff because you're completely paralyzed. And the image of the thinker carved out in stone, if you think of that famous statue, the thinker's sitting there forever because he's paralyzed. He is stone. He is marble, whatever he is. Don't allow yourself to be turned into stone because you get trapped in your head constantly thinking. Allow yourself to just say, okay, I'm going to go do this thing. Just do the thing over and over. That's one of our phrases. Just do the thing. Just get off your ass, go out there and do it. It's not easy, but it is simple. All you got to do is do one little action, and that will give you the momentum that you need to, as he said, get rid of the doubt. That action will give you momentum and motion. You'll create motion, and that motion gets rid of the doubt. When you're in your head, all you do is think about doubting. You create this reality where you become further insecure than you already be because you're not taking any action. And no action is an action. When you sit there, that's your action. That's what you're doing. But we're saying to take a physical action, to do something physical, go and make a move, go and draw the thing, go and lay out the plan, do something, because that will change the entire outcome and change whether or not you're sitting there paralyzed in marble for the rest of your life.
I never put that together with that the thinker statue is a statue, like, standing still. It's in marbled stone. It's really good. I've never put those
Yeah.
things together before. It's interesting because, you look at it from the artistic way, and the thinker, he's really in deep thought, but he's paralyzed. That I've come up with, a line that's kinda become a principle, and it's overthinkers are simply underdoers. That's it.
Right.
And what I mean by that is when you're doing things, it's very hard to think because you're in action, right? When you're thinking about things, it's very hard to do. So if you're an overthinker, which, look, we've all been overthinkers, right? We've overthought something in our lives, whether it was the house we are going to buy, the person we're going to date, the client we're going to ask for raising the prices, whatever it is, we've overthought these things. What happens is, and the reason I say overthinkers are simply underdoers, is because when you take action, regardless of what the action is, you learn something. Okay. And then that teaches you, instead of thinking, it gives you evidence of what to do next. Right. It may be you failed and now you know what not to do. Okay. Well, at least you learned, and then you can try something else, and maybe you fail again. And now I know two things what not to do. Edison, they say, found 10,000 ways how not to create a light bulb, but we all use lights. So I'll give you a story. Tom and I were overthinking something. Only over the last probably like 5 months, we built a course, and we had a gentleman who said, "Hey, I have a great way to deliver this course," and he had this whole system, and this company he was a part of. And Tom and I went out and spent all this money developing the course, and spent all this time curating it and putting it together, and had this optimism on, "Hey, we're going to go out there and do that." And this guy kind of like disappeared. Right, and, we couldn't communicate with him, and he kinda like, he got paid his money for what he was gonna do up front, and he just had no urgency to help us any further. And then Tom and I kinda got involved with some other things we were doing, and we put it on the back burner. But Tom and I kept saying like, okay, well, what are we gonna do about this? How are we gonna get this going? We were thinking about things. Well, we could do this and we could do that and blah, blah, blah. And we'd text the guy and like, okay, yeah. And eventually he said, hey, just the company that he represented, he said they have this meeting about what to do. Go to this meeting. So I'm like, all right, let's get on that meeting. When do you want to get on? Oh my gosh. Thinking. No progress is happening. So finally one day I went on the website, I found it on my own. I went to this place, I clicked it, I booked an appointment, right? That's it. I booked an appointment and it's this group appointment where they're in there. Well, Tom and I get there, and guess what? It's the wrong thing. This is for people who are interested in doing this. We're already doing this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But there was momentum happening, right? So I started hearing the people that were speaking, and the CEO of the company was in the meeting. And this is a pretty big company. So it was a Zoom meeting. I private messaged them and I said, hey, this is the situation. That's what happened. This is what we want. And they're like, oh, no problem. Here's my email. Here's the thing. Send me an email and we'll set up a time. 3 days later, Tom and I were in a meeting with the CEO of this company, and he personally said, hey, he's going to help us out to move our stuff forward. He's going to do these things. Okay. So he said, well, let me look at your stuff. We gave him the stuff. We're doing these things. And now we have another meeting with them on Thursday of this week. So it's like, okay, we didn't know what to do. But once we took
Right.
action, we learned, well, okay, we're in the wrong place, but I can do this. I can take action again. And then we met with them and he's like, well, we can do that. We're going to take action again. We don't know what the result will be, but we stopped thinking. And
Mhm.
when we stopped thinking about it, things behind the scenes are happening. And Tom and I were able to start working on something else. And that's the thing. When you become paralyzed because you're thinking so much, everything stops. Because if you're thinking constantly about this thing, whether it's good or bad, you're not working on something else. And that's what we have to do as business owners. It's about a massive amount of action. And yeah, you're going to fail a lot, but when we start taking action, we learn things. So good post there, Tom.
We have seen it so much with several of our clients. The ones who take the massive action have the success. The people who don't, they fail and and it's not really just failure, it's that they stay in the same place.
That's
They
exactly it. So they become stagnant.
Yep.
And you're right. There's so many of our past clients that we no longer work with that they just weren't willing to take the next steps.
Yeah.
They really
Yeah.
weren't. And it's not that they failed, but they did. They sat there in that same place, and some of them are still in that same place.
Well, and that's the thing because overthinking creates this delusion sometimes. Like we have a client, a former client that we spoke to last night. He does not have a business. He needs to go get a job. And we have told him this repeatedly for months. And he just is not listening. And he's because he's overthinking it and he's so caught up in his own thoughts and his own reality around the situation that he can't take this next step because he is scared shitless of what that means. But what he doesn't realize is that it's going to change his life for the better if he just takes that action. Sometimes the hardest thing I think for you and I is to see we see the other side for other people. We see it. We see exactly where your company is going to be. We see exactly what's going to happen if you take the action steps that we help you to take and encourage you to take and remove the barriers to taking. And that's doing the work. And we say that all the time. If you do the work and you trust the process, the good things are going to happen. And it happens every single time for those people who do the work and trust the process. The people who just stay stuck, we that vision that we have for them it can't come to realization. It can't come to reality at all. And that's the sad thing because we can see that if you just took this one action, your company would be 10 miles down the road instead of where it is right at this moment.
Well, you mentioned sad, and for this gentleman specifically, the sad thing is we're telling him to close up shop and go get a job. And the only reason we're telling him to do that is because he won't do the things necessary to build his business. And we gave him advice again last night. We spent a half an hour with him and didn't charge him a dime. And I told him flat out, like, the thing he wants to do, if he just did that and stopped thinking about it, if he just went and did that, he would be building a business. He would be generating revenue. And not be ideally what he wants, but that would be the next step to get where he wants to go. And that's the thing, is most of the time you're just thinking about the thing that you could be doing. And if you
Mhm.
just did it, you're going to learn something. And guess what? Every once in a while, you're going to stumble over some success. So go out there and just do the
100%.
thing. You'll learn a lot more
Yep.
that way. All right, Tom, wrap this thing up.
All right, man. Well, this was fun. This is listen, this is what we do. We love coming in here, looking at what other people are creating out there in the world and seeing how we align with these things and whether we align or we don't. And it really is fun for us. I enjoy these episodes. I enjoy doing this way. But, listen, we have so many cool things. If you're looking to make a next move, if you're struggling with what your next move is, go to be.the.ceo and check out our next move session. It's a 45-minute session where you can come in, and for a mere $97, you're going to get $10,000 worth of advice. So if you are struggling with, you're someone who builds things, installs things, cleans things, if that's one side of who we take care of. And then the other side is if you film, if you produce or you write content for people, and you're struggling to figure out what your next move is, go to be.the.ceo and check out our next move session. And Adam and I are there to help you. And listen, no strings attached. You pay for one session for $97, and hopefully you walk away with so many things that you feel like you can go move mountains. And if you can't, we'll figure out what's the right next step for you, and we'll help you to get to where you can reach your own peaks and live your full potential. So we'll see you next time.